In this shocking video, a biker casually kicks a homeless man's dog for no reason, thinking no one is watching. But little does he know, someone special is witnessing the entire act. None other than the legendary Keanu Reeves himself. What happens next will leave you speechless. Watch the full video to see how this incredible moment unfolds. Let us know in the comments where you're watching from. When a ruthless biker kicked a homeless man's dog in a supermarket parking lot, he had no idea that Keanu Reeves was watching. What started as an ordinary day, with the world largely ignoring the man, turned into something unforgettable for everyone present. What seemed like the beginning of a cruel act was about to take an unexpected turn, as someone appeared in the nick of time to change everything. Before we delve into this tale, let us know where you're tuning in from. Drop your city or country in the comments and make sure to subscribe for more inspiring stories that we'll share with you tomorrow. The supermarket parking lot bustled with its usual activity. Shoppers pushed their carts, the wheels squeaking rhythmically as they rushed through their daily errands. In a quiet, shadowed corner, nearly invisible to the passing crowd, a homeless man sat on the pavement. A weathered cardboard sign next to him read, "Help me and my best friend." Beside him lay a dog with a speckled coat, observing the surroundings with a calm yet watchful gaze. The man occasionally reached out to pet the dog, who responded with a gentle wag of its tail. A small gesture, rich with understanding and loyalty. Their connection was profound, transcending the need for words. Just weeks earlier, during one of the coldest, most isolating nights of his life, the man thought he wouldn't survive until morning. Feverish, weak, and without shelter, he sat in despair at that very spot, ready to give up. That's when the dog appeared. It didn't bark or demand attention, it simply curled up beside him, offering its warmth. In its silent presence, the dog seemed to convey, "You're not alone." By sunrise, the man's fever had broken, and something within him had shifted. From that day forward, they were inseparable. The dog was more than just a companion. It was his anchor, the reason he kept going. And there they were again, in their usual spot, living out their quiet routine as the world hurried past without a second glance. Until suddenly, the air in the parking lot grew tense with an impending disruption. The rumble of a motorcycle shattered the calm, drawing everyone's attention as it roared through the lot and came to an abrupt stop. The engine growled loudly, filling the space with an ominous tension. A sense of unease hung in the air, as if something dark was about to unfold. The engine went silent, but the unease lingered. The rider dismounted, a tall, imposing figure in a tattered leather jacket and heavy boots that clattered ominously on the asphalt. Removing his helmet, he revealed a hardened face with a smirk that offered no warmth. His eyes scanned the area, then locked onto the corner where the man and his dog sat. Slowly, he approached, his footsteps deliberate, each one echoing like a warning. The biker seemed to relish the discomfort he created, as onlookers quickly averted their eyes to avoid his gaze. Stopping just feet from the homeless man, he tilted his head and chuckled coldly. "Well, what do we have here? Quite the little show, huh?" His voice carried a tone of contempt that pierced the air. "A homeless man with a scruffy dog," some biker jeered. "Bet that mutt's worth more than you." The man glanced up briefly before dropping his gaze, clutching his cardboard sign tighter as if it was a shield. Beside him, the dog growled low, instinctively positioning itself between its owner and the aggressor. "What's the matter, pup?" the biker taunted, leaning forward mockingly. "Gonna bite me? Protect your worthless owner? You're probably the only one who cares about him." "Please, just leave us alone," the man murmured, his voice frail and pleading. He reached to comfort the dog, his grip shaky as if to protect it. "Leave you alone." The biker laughed harshly, stepping closer. "You two shouldn't even be here. This is a parking lot, not a trash heap. People like you mess up everyone else's lives." The man tried to respond, but his words faltered, swallowed by his fear. He lowered his head, gently stroking the dog's fur. As it growled again, its teeth showing, the biker smirked, feeding off the tension. "Look at that. Your little mutt thinks it can scare me. Just as pathetic as its owner. Bet it can't even bark right." Pretending to kick the dog, the biker raised his foot. The animal retreated instinctively as the man cried out, "No!" "Please don't hurt him." Straightening up with a cruel grin, the biker sneered. "Don't hurt him? Teach your mutt some respect then." His tone grew colder, and his shadow loomed over the man and his trembling companion. Another step closer, and his intention was clear, but a commanding voice cut through the air like a knife. "Enough." Everyone froze. Heads turned toward the source of the voice, its authority undeniable. The biker spun around, his smirk replaced by a scowl of confusion. His eyes darted toward the approaching figure, trying to make sense of this sudden interference. Emerging from between the parked cars, a man walked toward the scene with calm purpose. His presence was magnetic, impossible to ignore. It was Keanu Reeves. Dressed in dark jeans, a plain black t-shirt, and a light leather jacket, his simple outfit did nothing to dim the intensity of his gaze. Stopping just feet away, he locked eyes with the biker, his tone even yet firm. "Do you think this is right?" he asked. The question hung in the air, loaded with a quiet authority that made the biker falter. "And who the hell are you?" the biker barked, masking his unease with bravado. A nervous laugh escaped as he realized, "Oh, of course, big Hollywood star coming to play hero. Give me a break." What a farce. Keanu moved closer, dismissing the taunt. "This isn't about me. It's about you and what you're doing to them." He motioned toward the homeless man and his dog, now curled up together on the ground. "Those two shouldn't even be here," the biker barked, trying to sound authoritative. "They're just in the way, making life harder for everyone else." Keanu tilted his head slightly, studying the man in front of him. "Do you really believe that targeting those who can't defend themselves makes you strong? Or does it simply show everyone who you are inside?" The biker, momentarily unsettled, stepped forward, his stance aggressive. "Save the lecture, Hollywood. You might be a big deal in your movies, but out here you're just some guy." Keanu remained composed. "And you're just a man consumed by anger. But that doesn't give you the right to harm others." His eyes drifted to the bottle partially hidden by the biker's leg. "And drive in drunk. That's a whole other level of wrong." The statement hit like a thunderclap. The biker hesitated, thrown off, before trying to regain his bravado. "You don't know anything about me," he shouted, his voice defensive. "Maybe not," Keanu replied, his tone unshaken. "But everyone here is seeing what kind of person you are." The quiet crowd, who had been watching from a distance, began murmuring. The biker could sense the tide turning against him, the weight of public scrutiny creeping in. The tension hung heavy, his fists clenched, teetering between lashing out and backing off. Before he could decide, Keanu stepped even closer, locking eyes with him, his presence unwavering. "So, what's your move?" Keanu asked, his voice steady as steel. Something significant was brewing, a moment that could change the outcome entirely. The biker's chest heaved as he stared at Keanu, as if trying to read the resolve of this man who stood so firmly against him. The air felt electric, the growing crowd murmuring support for Keanu. Several people started recording, phones aimed at the unfolding confrontation. The biker, noticing the cameras, scowled, his frustration palpable. "You think you can make a fool out of me in front of all these people?" he yelled, pointing an accusing finger at Keanu. "You're just some actor. That doesn't mean anything here." Keanu stayed calm, his hands resting loosely by his sides. "I'm not trying to embarrass you," he said quietly. "I'm trying to stop you from making a mistake you'll regret later." The biker gave a hollow laugh, dripping with sarcasm. "Regret? It's easy for someone like you to talk about regret with your millions. People like me, we're the ones stuck at rock bottom." Keanu tilted his head again, his gaze never wavering. "Your anger isn't about me or him," he said, nodding toward the homeless man. "It's eating away at you, and you're just spreading it to those who've done nothing to deserve it." For a brief second, the biker faltered, his gaze dropping as Keanu's words hit home. But he quickly raised his voice again, as though trying to claw back control of the situation. "You don't know anything about me," he yelled, jabbing his finger at Keanu. "You think you're some kind of hero, rescuing hobos and strays. What a joke." Keanu moved closer, now only a few feet away. His voice dropped to a calm but unyielding tone, carrying the weight of conviction. "What you choose to do now will define who you are. Hurting someone weaker won't solve your problems. It'll just spread the pain to you and to them." The crowd stood frozen. Even the homeless man, who'd been avoiding everyone's gaze, looked up at Keanu as if seeing a flicker of hope. The biker glanced around at the onlookers, catching their silent disapproval. His hands balled into fists, his tension obvious as he struggled between giving in or lashing out. Abruptly, he bent down, grabbing a bottle from the ground. His eyes burned with fury as they locked onto Keanu. The parking lot seemed to hold its breath. His grip tightened on the bottle, fingers trembling as rage and hesitation warred within him. His heavy breathing betrayed the storm inside, his face a mix of anger and doubt. "You think you can take me on?" he bellowed, brandishing the bottle. "Think you're better than me just because these people are on your side?" Keanu stayed steady, his gaze unwavering. "This isn't about sides," he replied evenly. "It's about what's right, and right now what you're doing isn't just wrong. It's reckless. For you, for them, for everyone." Keanu's calm words seemed to pierce the biker's defenses. The man's knuckles whitened around the bottle, but he didn't act. The crowd held still, the tension so thick it felt like time itself had paused. "You don't know me!" the biker shouted again, his voice now raw. "You don't know what I've been through, what I've lost, so don't stand there and tell me what's right." Keanu stepped even closer, the bitter smell of alcohol hitting him. "Maybe I don't know your story," he said softly, almost a whisper, "but I can see you're hurting, and this won't help. It won't bring back anything you've lost. It'll just drag you deeper." The biker faltered, retreating a step, Keanu's words chiseling cracks into his defenses. He stared at the bottle in his hand, anger flickering into confusion. Then, as if trying to reclaim control, he lifted it slightly, a crooked grin twisting his face. "If you think you can stop me, go ahead and try," he sneered. But before anything could happen, a sharp, shrill whistle pierced the air, breaking the moment like glass shattering. The crowd turned toward the sound, startled. The biker froze, his head snapping toward the noise, irritation flashing across his face. Keanu turned too, his sharp eyes scanning for the source. Striding toward them from the far side of the lot was an older man in a worn security uniform. Though his appearance was simple, his bearing spoke of authority and composure, his deliberate steps commanding attention. Keanu approached slowly, his arms crossed as he sized up the scene. "Hey, you!" the security guard called out, his tone firm but calm. "Put it down. Now." His finger pointed directly at the bottle the biker gripped. "Who do you think you are?" the biker snapped, his irritation spilling over. Why don't you mind your own business?" "This is my business," the guard replied, his voice steady. "You're drunk, scaring people and causing trouble. I can't just stand by and let it happen." The biker gave a tense laugh, his posture uneasy despite his bravado. He glanced around, noting the growing crowd. Phones were out, cameras rolling, the weight of attention pressing in like a tide. Keanu moved closer, his calm voice breaking through the tension. "You can stop this," he said. "Put it down. Walk away. It doesn't have to go further than this." The biker's grip on the bottle tightened, his knuckles pale. His eyes darted between Keanu and the homeless man clutching his dog. Anger flared, but hesitation flickered beneath it. "This is ridiculous," he muttered, his voice shaking. "You think you're better than me? All of you judging me like this? I'm not letting it happen." He raised the bottle slightly, as if daring himself to act, but before he could, an unexpected sound shattered the moment. The dog, silent until now, barked sharply, its cry cutting through the tension like a knife. The sound was so abrupt and forceful that the biker froze, the bottle halting mid-air. All eyes turned to the dog, standing firm and defiant despite its small size. Its bark was a declaration, refusing to allow further harm. In that instant, everything shifted. The biker stared at the dog, stunned before sneering. "A mutt? You're kidding me," he scoffed, his grip still tight. Keanu took a step closer. "It's not just a dog," he said, his tone unwavering. "It's a friend, and right now, it's braver than most people." A ripple of murmurs ran through the crowd, with some shouting, "Leave them alone!" The biker's frustration boiled over. "You think my life's easy," he shouted, his voice cracking. "That guy doesn't even belong here." Keanu, now just a few feet away, spoke gently. "Maybe this is the only place he has. Maybe that dog is all he's got. What you're doing won't fix anything, it just spreads more pain." The biker hesitated, Keanu's words sinking in. Slowly, his grip on the bottle slackened, his shoulders sagging under the weight of his own anger. "I'm just tired," he muttered, turning toward his motorcycle. With a weary sigh, he climbed on and rode away, leaving behind a quieter, reflective crowd. Keanu knelt beside the homeless man and his dog. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. The man nodded, tears in his eyes, as he murmured thanks. Handing over a small card, Keanu said, "Take him to this vet clinic. They'll help him. And they'll help you too." Overcome with emotion, the man clutched the card tightly. As Keanu walked away, a hush settled over the crowd. The man hugged his loyal dog tightly, a testament to hope in the face of hardship. A simple act of kindness can transform lives, whether it's from a stranger or a faithful friend. If this story moved you, discover more inspiring tales. Click to watch.